Hey, Oni.
I'm sorry, I was yawning. Hello, Galen.
So, I was reading the news this morning, and I read that Capcom is possibly going to be making a new announcement of their upcoming live-action Mega Man movie.
Movies are saved.
On top of that, I also saw that there is going to be a sequel to Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Oh, I'm so glad movies are good again.
So, with the influx of early 90s video game characters getting their own shows, what character do you want to see on the big screen?
Well, apparently the precedent is that they have to be blue.
Mm-hmm.
Just like your food, it's got to be blue. You're eating blue. It's healthy. It's good.
They're blue dabba deeby dabby da.
Oh God. I guess Meta Knight is pretty blue.
Okay.
Underneath that mask.
You think you can get a Meta Knight movie before a Kirby movie?
I think that's the twist. If we're doing an M. Night Shyamalan movie, obviously this is going to be directed by the One Knight for Meta Knight. Then I'm sorry. No, I didn't actually intend for that, and now I'm just kind of surprised that I did that. So it's throwing my train of thought off. The twist is that it's actually Kirby underneath that thing, and he's just wearing like a blue skin suit.
Oh, this got dark.
God, this is gross.
Are you grossing yourself out with this idea?
Yeah.
Well, I gotta be honest, you made it work better than my idea.
Well, that goes without saying, but I guess tell everybody what your idea was, Galen.
That's no big thing. Dig Dug. There needs to be a Dig Dug movie. He is blue.
Isn't he like pinkish or red?
Nah, I thought it was like blue and white.
Dig Dug, hold on.
Bomberman movie!
Yeah, Bomberman's white though.
Well, he's white and blue. Depending on what color you choose. He can be blue.
His name is like Shiropon in Japanese.
Well, this is going to be for the Western audience, so obviously that doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay. You're right. I looked up Dig Dug. I was thinking of the red version of the enemies. But Dig Dug, because Dig Dug was based off, Bomberman's original sprite was based off of the Dig Dug sprite. Mm-hmm. It's an expanded universe, okay? This is the Joss Whedon universe of Dig Dug Bomberman. That has to be their own spin-off.
VCU? The Video Game Cinematic Universe?
No, that would be the DDU, the Dig Dug universe.
No. It needs to be the Video Game Cinematic Universe. And then it all, culminates into a Smash Bros. Movie.
I would not watch any of that. Like, all of that sounds awful. I'm tired of movie theaters. I'm tired of movies and people.
It's 2020. When was the last time you even went to a movie theater?
I think the last movie that I might have seen in theater is the Avengers. Avengers, the last one.
Wait, like Infinity War or Endgame?
Whatever it was called. I don't know. Like, see, these movies are so unimportant. Movie theaters are just like, what are those called? Amusement parks. It's just an amusement park for your eyes, and it's not. You don't go to a theater and you don't have fun. This is our video game podcast. What the? Hello, my lovely little demons. Friends, thank you for joining us today on the Nintendo Everything Podcast, episode 90. My name is Oni Dino, and with me, featuring Galen from the Galen May Cry series. It's Galen.
Pull my Galen trigger.
Ew.
That's in your brain for the rest of the day now.
That's a very bad song that I really enjoy listening to. I mostly enjoy the B-52's mashup to it. Isn't that so good?
Yeah. No, that's
good. The lyrics are so bad, and but it's so fun.
Mm-hmm. It's cringe-tacular.
Lovely listeners, welcome to Nintendo Everything Podcast. You know what? This is episode 90. Let's reintroduce ourselves, Galen.
Okay. I'm Galen. I will be your host today.
No. What kind of person are you,
what
Galen?
We were doing.
No.
I am a human person? I don't know. You introduce yourself first.
Okay, my name is Oni Dino. I am, by comparison's
Oni.
sake, the more interesting one of the two. Galen is the boring one. And this is our weekly comedy show that's not very funny.
Yeah.
I'm full of pain, and I do this weekly show so that way I can share my pain with all of you.
And I am the cause of at least 17% of that pain.
Mm-hmm. He always gives himself too much credit.
Mm-hmm.
Episodes go live every Sunday, bright and early. Usually, if you're in the States, like, I don't know, whatever, just the Sundays. We're on all the podcast platforms, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, you name it, we're there. We're not on SoundCloud just yet, but I swear to God I will be on there soon. It is on my list of things to do.
Yeah. We're also on Alexa.
Sure.
And Google Home. I found that out too.
You can just tell those internet spies in your own home that everybody apparently loves to have to play an episode, and they will. They'll just do it. It's great.
Mm-hmm. And also, when it's playing something, it can't hear anything else because I have continuously tried to yell at my Alexa to tell it to stop music and it doesn't listen. So we are helping protect you from the internet spies. That is our Nintendo Everything Podcast guarantee. If you listen to us, you will never get internet spied on.
Right. Please kindly leave us a review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts. Mm-hmm. Also recommend the podcast to people that you want to hurt or you want to love. It doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. We're all Cenobites here.
We are the perfect solution for those who fall into both of those categories.
Let's raise some hell.
Pull my Galen trigger.
Glucose levels are getting bigger. Bang, bang, bang. Diabetes trigger.
Where is this diabetes joke coming from?
I don't know. It was you mispronounced a bunch of words earlier today. And I just said you had a diabetic slur. This is our Adventure Log segment. We talk about the video games we play this week.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the week, I might be tweeting about localization, about translation, about the video games I'm playing. Come have a chat with me on Twitter at Oni_Dino. Galen, where do you welcome people into your life?
I welcome all of the individuals into my life on Twitter at Mobius087. I think I'm actually going to be throwing up a couple of Twitter polls this week, so keep an eye open for that and throw in your opinions.
Keep an eye open for Galen's poll. So Galen, this week you've played nothing.
Oh, yeah, basically.
What a great transition to invite people over to your Twitter if you haven't played shit this week.
I am wanting to respect our listeners' time more than anything, because I have played games. I went over to my friend's place and played some more Jackbox games. I've been playing a little bit more Destiny, a little bit more One Step from Eden, but I've talked about those. If you want to hear more about them, listen to our past episodes. But this week, I know we got a lot of news topics, so I'm just going to keep it a little bit brief and just say, played some games, had some fun. Oni, let's talk about the game that I'm actually very interested in you talking about.
Welcome to the Oni Dino Everything podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I played some more Paper Mario the Origami King this week. Now I've been super busy with work, so haven't gotten in as much time as I want. Also, this game is very long. I did not expect it to be this, this many story beats happening between worlds.
That's
I'm
good.
only on the very, very beginning of World 3, I think. I just got done with World 2, and some stuff happens in this game. Some very surprising and great stuff happens in this game.
Some dark stuff or just some unexpected things?
Yeah, kind of dark stuff. I will get into that in a second because it's kind of spoilery. I know it's weird to be like, oh, spoilers for Paper Mario, but for real, I don't want to spoil this for anybody that might be playing the game. So anyway, I'll talk about that in a minute. Right now is a spoiler safe segment.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, the battles have gotten more fun, more strategic, and I think last week when I talked about it, week when I talked about it, I was talking about how the puzzles to solve are really easy and they kind of give you the answer right off the bat. That's only in the very first portion. I think that they try and slowly ease you into the concept of moving the floor panels around.
Yeah.
And that's great. That's a really good way to do it. They keep introducing like slightly new stuff. So, I mean, I would say 2 out of 3 times I'm solving the puzzles in the very beginning of the battles. Maybe a little more often than 2 out of 3 times. But, I mean, that's still a good amount of times that I'm not solving the puzzles. And then you're at a huge disadvantage if you don't solve the puzzles. Because when you solve it, you get a 1.5 times multiplier to your attacks. And so if you don't solve it, you don't get that multiplier. And you usually can't knock out all of the enemy. Well, you can't knock out all of the enemies.
Yeah.
And then you can only knock out a few of them. So then the next turn they're hitting you, and they're hitting you a bunch. It's not like, oh, you got 2 damage, you got 5 damage. No, it's like 10 damage, 20 damage, like stuff like that. So if you're not careful, it can be pretty tricky.
Yeah, that's a pretty intense battling curve, or penalty curve, I should say. Now, this game also has the active battling system where you can reduce the damage coming into you as well as the damage that you're giving out, correct?
Yeah.
Are the battles still being diverse enough to keep you interested? Because I can only imagine that if you are doing the same battles with the same type of enemies, there's only so many different puzzle combinations that you can have. Is that true, or do you find it pretty diverse?
Thus far, I mean, up into, World 3 where I'm at, still diverse.
Good.
The battles aren't super frequent like they were in Sticker Star and Color Splash. This game also, I would definitely say, is very different from those 2 games as well, which is great. In Sticker Star especially, you went into a world and then you went left to right, and the whole time was a whole bunch of battles, and you would like kind of dodge those battles, and there wasn't really a big world for you to explore. In this game, they really vary up your gameplay mechanics. So you're exploring a whole lot more. You're going over these big worlds in sometimes a boat or a shoe that you ride around the desert. And there's even some enemies that you fight not in a traditional battle. So like there's these big things, they call them paper machos, which is a joke on paper mache. And they're like, say, a gigantic Goomba or a gigantic Boo or something like that. And you have to sneak behind them and hit the sticker off of the back of them. Then you can start dealing damage to them. Then you hit them 3 times, and then they blow up and you get a bunch of confetti. That's not even like in a normal battle sense. So that's just another little thing that they do to vary it up. I feel like battles are only a sliver of what you do in this, and they have pulled that off, because on paper I'm like, ooh, I really like the battles. I want to play an RPG. Oh, on paper, yeah, whatever. But so far, the variety of mechanics really has me coming back to this game very excited every time that I pick it back up.
Nice.
Let's see. There are also some sort of Final Fantasy style summons in this game I was not expecting.
Oh, okay.
Maybe Final Fantasy Light, but very evocative of that.
Okay.
So when you are on the overworld and there's several different enemies that you can get into a battle with there, if you're in vicinity, they'll all jump into battle and they'll do a wave battle. So it means that you kind of fight a group of enemies and then you beat them all, then you get another group of enemies that comes in without ending the battle and everything like that.
Okay.
When you get that, more often than not, you will have one enemy in the first wave that if you defeat them and you solve the puzzle properly, then you get a summoning circle. And then your little buddy Olivia, who is pretty awesome actually. Like I thought she was going to be like a whatever character. She started to develop a personality, and the writing is of course great, so that's going along good.
She's a helpful Navi.
She is origami, right? And she will fold into a previous like elemental enemy that you have fought, and then she will wipe out all of the little guys in the next battle in like a really cool battle animation and transformation, and it happens infrequently enough that you're like, oh, this is exciting. And it doesn't just kind of happen out of the blue. There's very specific conditions that it'll definitely happen in, so you can sort of manipulate that to come about. So I just enjoy it. I am very happy with the variety of gameplay, honestly.
That is a lot of fun.
I know that, like, Thousand Year Door, I like that game, I do. But Thousand Year Door people who are like, the game's not Thousand Year Door, every Paper Mario subsequently sucks. This game has, if this keeps up at this pace, for sure, I think that this is the best Paper Mario since Thousand Year Door.
Excellent. If
this keeps up by the whole end of the game, if this keeps up with variety and fun and, you know, writing and stuff, there will be aspects of this that I will definitely enjoy more than Thousand Year Door. The writing especially. Yeah. But, okay, spoilers for Paper Mario here.
Well, really quick, I do have one other question before we start to go into spoiler specifics.
Fine.
You mentioned earlier that you are surprised by the length of this game and how much there is to it.
Yeah.
You said you were on about the 3rd chapter or so. From what I understand, the main MacGuffin that you are chasing around in this game are the various ribbons that are tying up Peach's castle or something like that. Is it that standard format that at the end of every chapter you are freeing a ribbon, or do they have some chapters there that are like setups or in-betweens, or how far along are you, would you say?
So I've destroyed 2 ribbons only.
Okay.
And I think that there are 5 ribbons. And then there's also Peach's Castle, which is a final world.
Okay.
You can tell because there's a fast travel system, but it's kind of weird. But to keep it brief, there is a fast travel system where you can see 6 pipes and they're labeled 1 through 6. So you know that there's going to be 6 main segments.
Ah, gotcha.
Gosh. Okay. So for example, I don't know, I'll call it World 2, even though it's not really super apt. You go up to this place called Autumn Mountain, and you think that this is going to be the place, and then you're going to do the stuff, and then you're going to find the boss, and you're going to beat him. You do Autumn Mountain map, then you go into a cave, then you fight a elemental spirit, and then you learn like a power, and then you progress beyond that map. You don't fight a boss, you don't get the streamer, that whole thing. Then you move on to another area that's completely different. It's a place called Shogun Studios, and it's like a it's like the Toho Studios in Kyoto, where it's like they film a whole bunch of stuff there, or it's like an amusement park or something, and it's all Japanese themed. Then you do that whole map, and then you're done, and then you move. Wait. Do I fight the streamer there? Oh, no, you do. Okay, so then you're in that map, and then you go into the big, gigantic place. Then you finally fight the main boss. So there was like 3 or 4 like main things in that one world, and they all feel not disconnected from each other, but just separate from each other. Where like these could easily be 3 or 4 worlds, but it's actually just one world before I actually destroyed a streamer.
Okay.
That's why I'm like, whoa, this game is surprisingly long.
Yeah. No, that sounds excellent, actually.
And there's so much more emphasis on puzzles, and I really love that. If you like puzzles and good writing, this game is definitely worth a pickup at, a full price.
Excellent. Well, it's a Nintendo game, so it's going to be full price till like maybe Christmas, and then it will only go down like $10.
I don't think they're even going to do a sale for Christmas, man.
Yeah, I don't think so. Well, that said, there's a lot of third-party sales going on right now. But
oh, yeah. Everybody check out the eShop. Check out your local retailers, blah, blah, blah. There's lots of good sales on the eShop. I got Final Fantasy VIII for $9. I don't remember.
Nice. Very nice. So, one other question I had for you is, you were mentioning that you got various power-ups when you went to these locations. Does it have like a Metroidvania-esque, like you return to older locations with these new power-ups to unlock more things, or is it just, this is what you need going forward?
It's mostly the latter. This is what you need going forward. However, there will be little things that you get that are not super story related, that will allow you to go back to areas that you've been to before and find the collectibles that you couldn't get before. So it's more of an optional thing.
It's optional, it's collectible, but there's nothing like major. Okay,
Correct. Yeah. At least not so far that I've seen. Who knows? Could change in 3 weeks from now when I'm finally done with this game.
Maybe.
But okay, here's the spoiler dish.
Yeah. Now we're going into spoilers.
And if you're wondering if, what portion of the story it is, this is in between like worlds 2 and 3. So if you've already hit this part, then you can listen. But if you haven't hit this part yet, or if you're like, I might pick this game up, do please skip this portion. Just like skip ahead.
Time code below.
So, in World 2, before World 2, you get a partner, and it's the Babam guy. His name is Babam. And he has amnesia. He's kind of chill, kind of laid back. During battles, he just, like, sleeps. He's just vibing, okay? He's vibing. He's not fronting. He's vibing. He calls Mario Big M. He's like, I don't know what my memories were before. I'm just kind of going along to see if they come back to me. And so he joins you because Olivia's like, well, hey, join us. Maybe you'll make new memories with us and it'll be fun. He's like, yeah, all right, let's do that. So he accompanies you along the whole time. And, you get to know his character a little bit more. As you keep going through the different maps that you get to, he realizes that he was on a cruise on like the SS Peach or whatever it's called, on a big cruise ship.
Okay.
And you go to this cruise ship. The cruise ship was attacked by a kraken, by a blooper.
Okay.
And then he remembers. He remembers that he was knocked off and like his friend died. And
oh god.
So bombs, they're bombs. They have what are those called?
The
wicks. Yeah, they have wicks on their head. His friend died, but he found his friend's wick, so he kept his wick in a like safe deposit box or whatever.
Okay.
He keeps his wick. You're at the amusement park, and once you like sort of save the amusement park area, they do a bunch of fireworks and stuff. The fireworks it comes rushing back, all of his memories, and he realizes like who he was, what was going on, what his purpose is, all that stuff. You try and go to World 3, and the big enemy is Olivia's brother. It's King Ollie and, or I don't know, whatever. It's Ollie and Olivia. So Ollie crushes Olivia with a giant boulder.
Oh god.
And you're like, oh my god, she's dead. The bitch is dead. Sorry, I told this a little bit out of order, but when that happens, then Babam is like, oh, I know what we need to do. I've gained my memories. We need to go to the SS Peach. And then so you go there and then you realize, what happened. He comes back and you get this like safe deposit box. That's the main thing that you get from the SS Peach. You don't know what's in it. You don't know anything. You get back to the boulder and Babam is like, all right, Mario, I know what I need to do. Sorry I didn't tell you what's in this box, but here it is. And he tells you about his friend that died and he kept the wick because when Babam... Oh, I just knocked the mic. Sorry, everybody. When the Kraken, the big blooper, attacked the
SS Peach.
The Princess Peach, Babam flew off and he lost his wick. So he doesn't have a wick.
Okay. That explains a lot now.
Yes. So Babam, without a wick, with all of his memories now coming back, with this box that he has of his dead friend's wick in it, he takes it out, he puts the wick in his head, and he's like, I know what I need to do. Thank you so much for the memories. You've made me so happy. And then he literally kills himself. He commits suicide to explode the rock. And, at first I was like, okay, he's just going to explode, then he's going to come right back. And, like, they're making a dramatic scene, for sort of comedic effect, sort of parody of movies or whatever.
Yeah.
No, he dies. He dies.
No wonder they're not allowed to do anything with, like, the proper characters and designs. They're just going to end up axing them all off.
I don't know how they got past censors with this, because he dies.
That went in a completely different direction than I was expecting it to go. The way that you're telling it, you prefaced it by saying that this was dark and this was like really sad. Like, what I expected there to be is that something about the Bob-Ombs, when they explode, they still lived, but everything about their personality like goes away. Like, that
would have been good.
Yeah, like it's almost like a reincarnation type thing or something, but
wipes the memory, blah blah blah.
Exactly. So you spend all this time making this friendship with this Babam and getting to know their personality, getting to know them, and then they explode in some self-sacrificial manner, and then they're still alive, but they are not the person that you were dealing with beforehand. So
see, that's actually also interesting too.
Right?
Like that's a
I
good.
thought that's where you were going.
Honestly, they have really good foundations with a Mario paint on top of it, and you're like, Mario paint. But they have a Mario paint on top of it, and you don't expect it to go these directions. But okay, so anyway, so he does that. Mario chases after him like, no, don't gonna kill yourself, you know?
What are you doing?
He dies. Olivia wakes up and she's like, oh man, I'm so glad that, you know, I'm out of that. And then she's like, hey, Mario, where's Babam? Like, what's happening? And then she sort of puts two and two together and she's like, oh my God. And she runs away crying.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a nearby mole village, like right around the corner. She runs over there and it's somber music. You're alone now. You've had two partners. You're alone. You're completely alone. You're trying to find Olivia. And then you finally find her and she's just sobbing and fully depressed at what just happened, that her friend killed himself for her. And she's sitting on a rock. She's like, I don't know what to do. I can't move. I can't go on. So it's not like this moment happens and everything like that. Also, this moment happens and you have to live with it. The next 10 minutes of gameplay are focused on this moment of your friend killing himself. I can't believe this is in a Mario game.
Wow.
So,
okay. I'm very interested.
So this happens. You go out and you're like, I don't know what to do. I forgot why you go out. But then you see the spirit of Babam in like this rubble. And he's like, yo, Big M, I know Olivia's really sad, but you gotta cheer her up, man. Like, if you don't cheer her up, all of what I did will have been for nothing. So you guys gotta move forward, you know? You gotta go through the grief. And when he says that, he's like, you have to think about how you can make her laugh. Laughter is the best medicine, that kind of thing. I forgot to introduce this part at the beginning, but at the Shogun Studios, to sneak past some enemies, the big macho enemies that I talked about earlier, you have to put on like a big macho Goomba helmet and then pretend you're a Goomba. And when you do, like, it's so heavy, so Mario's like teeter-tottering back and forth, and that, along with the Goomba face, makes Olivia laugh, and she's like, oh my God, Mario, you look so stupid right now. And you just think that that's just like a thing that happens earlier on and it's just funny and, you know, Olivia laughs or something like that. No, you still have that item in your key items. You go up to Olivia and you put that thing on and she's like, Mario, I know you're trying to make me laugh. And then, like, she doesn't have like a big old like, bah, ha, 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 ha. She has like a genuine character moment where she's like, I know you're trying to make me laugh. Okay, yeah, I get it. Yeah, that's a pretty goofy face. Yes, all right. I do need to move forward, keep going along, because that's what Babam would have wanted. And that's how you move forward. It's a perfectly structured arc. It's perfectly structured for both characters in
Holy
Paper
crap.
Mario.
All right.
It's amazing. And if anybody listening to this is surprised and like wasn't going to play this game and now you're a little bit intrigued, I'll report back later, but I suddenly have a high bar for this game. I think this game is going to go places. So,
Oh yeah. No, that sounded amazing.
I mean, and that's not even just the localization. Like, the localization, of course, is amazing, but like, they need to, you know, have stuff to work with from the original developers, and they structured that. They set it up. It's great. I'm really enjoying this game, and I can't believe it because I almost didn't even buy this game, you know? Paper Mario.
Yeah.
As withered as my heartstrings are, something attempted to tug at them.
That hit me right in my diabetic heart. Thump thump.
Makes your heart go doki doki diabetes. I might call that the episode title.
Doki Doki Diabetes?
Yeah, why not?
What? Oh, the the comments are going to be a field day on that one.
Who cares? They don't even listen to it. Those people just show up and they complain about nothing.
I am going to judge your entire episode based on your thumbnail.
Cool, stranger.
Yeah.
On to the news. We got news coming straight out of NintendoEverything.com 24/7 news. 24 hours, 7 minutes a week.
Only 7 minutes.
Quick PSA to everybody. That F-Zero Twitter that we talked about like a week or two ago, it was fake. Totally fake. That's why we don't really talk about like those kinds of things too much, because it can be fake or it can be just a hollow conversation. It sucks. We move on.
Fake news right here.
Shut up. Also a PSA. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had such like strange feelings about that entire thing to begin with anyway, because there were a lot of straws that were being grasped at right there. Yeah,
and I mean, something we didn't even bring up before is like you can create your own email server. Yeah. Like my friend who is a programmer, he has his own email server.
$5 on GoDaddy.com.
Yeah. Clownpenis.fart. It was the only server name left.
Yeah.
Second PSA this week is that Pokken Tournament Deluxe is going to be free to play for Nintendo Switch online users or online subscribers, whatever it's called. Yeah. This definitely is happening in North America, Europe, and Japan. I kind of assume that it's going to be happening for subscribers in like South America and Oceania and Africa, but just because like Oceania and South America kind of get moved into European territory in terms of eShop sometimes. I don't know, it's weird, and I feel bad for our listeners there, because you guys don't get like the main announcement. Sometimes you have to be like, oh, I wonder if we're going to be included in this, you know?
Yeah.
Something about the Southern Hemisphere, it seems.
I do wonder, though, I'd like to see the sales figures of the game before and after they do these like free week launch periods, because they did it for ARMS, they've done it for a couple of games in the past, so.
Yeah.
Have you played Pokken Tournament?
Pokken?
You got the Pokken Tournament there that you want to play?
Yeah, apparently Pokken's going on free to play this week.
Oh, I heard that too. Pokken.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I just need to stop lying to myself and say that I am going to continue to play fighting games because I just don't have the time to dedicate to them.
Right.
The very, very little time that I have to dedicate to video games in general, it has to go to narrative games. It's just how I play. When I was younger, you know, I've said this before, like, I was super big into fighting games and the fighting game community in arcades and stuff. It was just a wonderful heyday. And I want to be part of it still, but I just don't have the time.
Yeah, no, I hear ya.
What they really should do, because I think that this is a model that can work for fighting games, is straight up go free to play. I didn't write this down in the document, but there was 2 games this week that were announced, the smaller fighting games I think they were, that are suddenly going free to play. Even though they were, you know, just a regular pay experience. And then you just kind of buy characters and stuff like that.
Buy characters, and they have they do the League of Legends and Dota thing where they give you a couple of like free characters a week and kind of cycle through them.
Yeah, so. Yeah. But I wish that they would try that out.
Than Dota.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see that in the new Street Fighter. I don't know.
I don't know if they'll do that though. I feel like they're too scared to do that with a big franchise like that. But I think that that's a good way to keep people playing online, because, you know, part of like having a game that's so focused on online, and, you know, fighting games are very much focused online, is making sure you have that user base. You don't want it to just be the super dedicateds, because then you suddenly create a barrier for your people to play. And then people like us were like, oh, I guess I'll give it a shot or something, or I'll buy it or whatever if this free thing wasn't going on. Then suddenly we're like, oh, I just get slaughtered online, and then that sort of makes you not play it as much.
Well, and that's the other thing. Like, you have some games that are super big in the fighting game community, but once they have that one-time purchase, like, there's no more market to be made off of that other than, hey, this is popular enough, I might make a sequel.
Yeah, and that's why I think though that like the seasons and DLC just work really well for fighting games. Like
Yeah.
It makes sense because it keeps your people playing, it adds more characters to it, you price it appropriately, and I think that everybody usually gets down with that. Like that's one of the few genres of video games that I think that season passes and stuff makes sense.
Yeah, I have a hard time demonizing a lot of the practices that a lot of companies kind of resort to, which are considered like very anti-consumeristic. Season passes, DLCs, free-to-play modules. But, I mean, there's definitely homes for that kind of a thing, and there's places where it works out.
Yeah, I agree with you, even though I'm way more critical of it than you are.
Oh, yeah, we definitely have different interpretations on that. So...
Yeah, some of those interpretations are wrong. Galen's.
AAA gaming! I just love doing that voice.
I know, right? That's why, like, whenever we talk about AAA games, like, I have to suppress my desire to be like, AAA!
Mm-hmm. That's the most that I can say, though. Any more of an impression just turns into, like, a string of expletives.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Anyway. Nintendo Direct, let's talk about the big thing that happened this week, and it happened nearly a week ago.
On the topic of AAA gaming.
Except that none of them are. No. Nintendo! They put out a Direct. It was a Nintendo Direct Mini Partner Showcase.
We finally got a Nintendo Direct with 5 whole games.
Further muddying the waters, they announced like a new series, the Partner Showcase, which I think is cool. I'm all about this. Mm-hmm. The only problem for me with all of this is that they don't have a primary Nintendo Direct out recently at all. And that's why people are always going to go in and shit on this showcase. These Nintendo Direct Minis, whatever it is, because they want the big primary thing. And they were completely forthcoming about this. They were like, it's 10 minutes, which actually I think the Japanese one said that it was that. But anyway, whatever, it ended up being, widely circulated in Western online media that it was going to be 10 minutes. They called it a mini. They specifically said they're going to focus on games from their partners. They were completely, forthcoming about everything. And people freaked out about it not being Zelda 2.
I do appreciate your Nostradamus prediction beforehand that you threw out on Twitter.
What did I say?
You were talking about like, hey, everybody get hyped up and get in your predictions for there being Breath of the Wild 2 and, Shin Megami Tensei 5 and, all this other string of stuff and Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah.
The guy responded back, was like, yeah, 1 out of 4.
So, Galen, do you have the list of games that were announced?
I do. So I'm going to make this really quick. First off, they discussed some new DLC for Cadence of Hyrule, a couple of new characters. I know one of the packs that they're going to be having is going to be Skull Kid, which is cool.
Yeah.
They're also including the ability to choose any music as you're playing in the game, which I think that's cool, but having played that game before that and it being so tempo centric, that does seem weird to me, and I'm wondering how that's going to like play out in the long run.
I think that they'll probably change the tempo as well because it's intrinsic to the gameplay.
Probably, yeah. Beyond that, they talked about their Rogue Company game, which is their third-person action shooter. I think it's free to play. I don't know. I kind of zoned out on this one.
Yeah, I think it's free to play. It's by Hi-Rez Studios.
Mm-hmm.
That's out now, and I think,
yes.
I don't know if this is right or not. I saw comments or something about this or something on Twitter. I think that this is a 60 FPS game, which is cool. A 60
Especially
FPS
on the Switch, yeah.
free-to-play Fortnite Apex shooter thingy. That's cool.
Yeah.
A lot of effort in that.
There's a lot of people who like that kind of stuff, so, the Switch definitely needs stuff like that. Beyond that, this one threw me off. W2K Battlegrounds, which are these weird, like, it's a wrestling game with Andre the Giant and Stone Cold Steve Austin in these like claymation fighters. Like, it's so bizarre that it looked like you're playing with a bunch of Stretch Armstrong action figures.
Ah, that is exactly what it looked like, because everybody's like top heavy.
Very top heavy, very plasticky. But I mean, honestly, it looked kind of fun. I'm not gonna play it, but I can see myself enjoying it if given the chance.
Yeah, if this is on at a party that I'm at, which I wouldn't be at because Corona, then, I'd pick it up and I'd be like, yeah, let's have some fun, let's have some drinks.
Yeah.
They did this, though, because their WWE 2K games have been a travesty, the last couple of years. So they're like, okay, we're not doing one this year, I think, and then we're putting out the Battlegrounds or whatever it's called.
Yeah. And then after that, it became the Atlas show with...
Yeah.
Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remake.
Yes. So, okay, before we go into talking about Shin Megami Tensei, because that's going to be the bulk of what we talk about here.
Which I will let you talk about the bulk of. Full disclosure, I have not played any of the games. Full
disclosure, Galen is a fake gamer, but I do got to give you props on pronouncing the name correctly.
Oh, thank you. Shin Megami Tensei? E.
Galen, I'm watching a joke die right now. Anyway, all in all, like, even though it was super tiny, super short, taking a step back of whether this is what you wanted or not, and all the piss babies freaking out like, this was a showcase that had 5 very different games, each of them for very different audiences. It was a varied showcase. And when I think back to that Xbox presentation that happened a couple of months ago, we talked about it on the show.
They had one like 2 days ago.
I know, I didn't watch it.
Okay, I did, but
cool,
that
but
was not very.
Shut up, let me talk.
No.
I never get to talk on this podcast, Galen.
You just said earlier, this is the Oni Dino podcast.
Anyway, the Xbox show that happened a couple of weeks ago, or a couple months ago, I think back to the lack of variety in the games that were there. And even though lots of them looked really good or exciting, just so many of them were self-same one after another that I was just like, which ones did I see? And then you kind of end up forgetting some of them. This was nice and varied, and I think that people don't really appreciate that aspect of, putting together that project and the audiovisual aspect of presenting it in a really nice way. Their presentations are really nice. Their audiovisual team are just on top of it. But anyway, I get that people are upset because the main Nintendo Direct is not out. I know that they want to see one. I do too. We all do. But you can't blame this for being something that it isn't. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, say the new Spider-Man movie comes out and it doesn't have Doc Ock in it, but they never said Doc Ock was going to be in it. And then the whole movie ends and you're like, oh, this movie sucked because Doc Ock wasn't in it. It's like,
then you have Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yeah.
Sam Raimi did that one, sure. But anyway, you're getting away from the analogy that I'm putting together here, Galen. So the thing is that, like, this, you put together these expectations for yourself that Doc Ock was going to be in this and then he wasn't. You know what I mean? You have to sort of divorce your thoughts. You have to get your galaxy brain back on reality and look at it for what it is. If you didn't like it and you're like, I want a different one because, I didn't like any of those games, none of them were for me. Totally fair, right? But being like upset and freaking out and being like, Nintendo's dead, like all that stuff, like, just, oh my God, I'm so tired of it. Like, I get it. I'm upset that there is not a direct, a main one, blah, blah, blah. What's coming out this week? Month. No, hold on. Season. This summer. Winter, not summer. But just like, I don't know, like, have critiques instead of tantrums.
Well, and here's the other thing. Like, we live in a post-COVID world right now. And a lot of companies...
The current COVID world.
Exactly. A lot of companies are having to adjust their schedule, adjust their announcements because of what is going on in the world.
The counter argument to that, though, is look at Sony, look at Microsoft,
Yeah, look at Sony and look at Microsoft and look how unimpressive their showcases have been.
But I mean, regardless, they have a whole bunch of games that are out, whether you're impressed with it or not. I mean, you know.
Well, and also I would like to point out that Nintendo specifically said, hey, listen, we know what's going on. A lot of our projects are being delayed and we are re-looking at things. If you have announcements that you want to make, go ahead and make them. Don't wait for us on a direct.
That was back before E3, and that was only talking about the E3 main direct, though, Galen.
Exactly. Like this, I'm just saying that I don't think Nintendo was planning on doing an E3 direct when shit started to hit the fan.
Yes, because they didn't. What's your point, man?
My point is for the people who are saying, hey, where's the direct? Nintendo's got nothing because, you know, they haven't put a direct out yet. They could have, but they chose not to. Does that make sense?
Yes, but I don't know what your point is, and also I don't think that anybody that is upset is gonna be like, no, I disagree with that. Like, yeah, I mean, that's what they already think. They're... Anyway, whatever.
Alright, fine, moving on.
Shin Megami Tensei 3 HD Remaster coming to the Nintendo Switch and the PS4.
Cool.
This is not for Galen.
This came out for PS2?
PS2, yes.
Okay.
Back in 2003, 2004, something like that.
Yeah. So. Number
3, Nocturne, is, or Lucifer's Call, if you're in the country of Eurovision.
Mm-hmm.
This is the most Kazuma Kaneko entry in the series, probably. It's definitely the top 3, if it's not the most version of his. That dude is the designer for the characters, the demons. He did art direction. He was the creative director on that game. Same with Strange Journey, I want to say. But anyway, he does the character designs for like all of the mainline Shin Megami. Well, not all of them. He used to do all of the character designs for like Persona 1 and 2, all of the mainline Shin Megami Tensei stuff earlier on, and then nowadays it has been a little bit branching out to other people. But anyway, he has this very, very recognizable character design and monster design. It's like weird and grim and just unsettling. Mm-hmm. Unsettling and like makes you feel a little bit gross inside. And I love that. I love to live in the catastrophe. You know me.
True story. I actually get Shin Megami Tensei and Persona confused between the two all the time.
Well, you wouldn't be the only Westerner. This third entry is right in line with so many of the Megami Tensei games, where it's post-apocalyptic, demons everywhere. In this particular game, the world is about to be reborn through something they call the Conception. And it's separate from the Megami Tensei series in storyline enough that like you definitely can just jump into this. You don't have to be like, oh, I need to play 1 and 2 first. Like, don't worry. The Megami Tensei games are usually just connected to each other through mostly theming. Rather than an actual continuous narrative. So think of them as not connected. It's fine.
Yeah. It's like a Final Fantasy. They
a little more connected than that, because those are not connected at all.
12 is connected to tactics.
Yeah, sort of. Through Ivalice. But anyway, this Shin Megami Tensei 3 is all about, of course, demons, gods, laws of nature, laws of man, and sort of choosing which direction you want to go with that. You're like a demi-human or a demi-demon. I forgot what it's called. And Lucifer is there. Lucifer is a prevalent character throughout the entire series.
Ah, nice. I like his DC show.
Shut up. I've seen part of that show and it makes me angry because I don't think it's very good.
Yeah, I've never actually watched it.
You're just a liar. You're a fake gamer and a liar. How can you have
I will
anybody
lie
trust what you
for
say?
a joke setup.
So it's important to point out that there will be a brand new difficulty in this new remaster. I think it's called Merciful, the new difficulty. And you have to download it separately, so that way you're extra ashamed for choosing a easier than easy difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
Gameplay is, running around in dungeons. It's very turn-based, very risk-reward. Exploiting weaknesses gets you an extra turn, and you really have to think about it. If you like your slow-paced turn-based battles, this is it. There's also how could I not even mention this? Demon negotiation and a fusion system. So there's little bits of Pokemon in there. If you wanted your Pokemon to have huge, gigantic sexual organs, Shin Megami Tensei is for you. You didn't even hear what I said, did you?
I did.
What? You're looking at your phone right now.
No. I'm looking at the screen.
What a liar. What a big liar. Galen, do you need to leave? Is that what needs to happen here?
Okay, I was looking up on my phone because I wanted to ask, is this the one where the person shoots himself in the head in order to summon his powers?
That's Persona 3.
Yes, like I said, I get the two confused, and I didn't want to bring it up and be wrong on the internet.
Galen, that ship sailed at least a year and a half ago.
About the same time that Dark Ashen was released.
Mm-hmm. So the Persona series is a little bit more focused on characters, and it's not super post-apocalyptic or anything like that. There is a lot of muddling with that in the main series. I mean, there's honestly just so many different offshoots and stuff like that. Don't even worry if it's part of a series or not. Like, it's under the umbrella and just, check it out kind of thing.
Yeah.
Persona has become like the big offshoot series, because Megami Tensei is the main series, then Persona is an offshoot of that. But Persona got big enough in terms of sales and public consciousness, especially with 3. 3, 4, and 5 are very much about managing, your school life that you usually have, or your days and what actions you take. So it's got a lot of life sim stuff to it, mixed in with battling and dungeon crawling.
Yeah.
The first 2 Persona games are more closely related to Shin Megami Tensei. So I'm not super into the more life sim heavy Persona games, so I'm so excited for 3 to be remastered so I can give this one a proper go. And then 5, of course, is coming out. These are more about fighting and getting demons and just like grim and despaired settings, just upsetting things.
Yeah. Cool.
I like to be depressed. I share my pain with others.
We're adults. We enjoy the depressing stories now.
Galen, you're a ball of joy, according to the last podcast. So, which is
it's
it?
True.
Which route will you choose? Just like in Shin Megami Tensei 5.
I can be a decaying mess on the inside while still have a happy shell on the outside. It's what we call depression.
Boy, is it. Shin Megami Tensei 5, we saw a little bit of, I wouldn't even call it gameplay, it's like a cinematic. But anyway, People want to see what it looks like, so it's there. There you go, you saw some of it.
Mm-hmm. We know what the main character looks like, and...
we know he cuts his own hair.
Oh, yeah.
I love the main character's design. I really do. I love his stupid hair. I love his clockwork orange mascara that he's wearing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Kazuma Kaneko is doing the character design for number 5, but it's definitely very evocative of his style.
Mm-hmm.
More so than 4 was. 4 was definitely a little bit more mainstream anime look.
Yeah. But cool. People have been asking for this game for a long time, and now we're finally getting it. And we know for a fact it's coming to the Switch, too, so...
Yes. I mean, it's coming to the Switch. We don't know if it's going to go to any other platforms eventually, but it seems to be, at the very least, all signs point towards timed exclusive kind of thing on the Switch.
Yeah.
It's, a bit more of the same when it comes to Shin Megami Tensei 3. Chaos reigns, world without its creator, which path will you choose, that kind of thing. I'm fine with that because we get these games so infrequently. Oh, I should point out that Shin Megami Tensei 3 Remaster is coming out in Japan in the end of October, and then in the West in spring of 2021.
Okay.
Which is kind of surprising to me. It makes me wonder, are they going to be relocalizing it?
Possibly.
Because you don't want to release 3 Remaster and 5 too close to each other, because 5 is going to have a simultaneous worldwide release in 2021. So if you get 2 of these Megami Tensei games kind of back to back, for lack of a better word, I'm a little worried that it'll affect sales, you know?
Mm-hmm. Like, people are going to burn themselves out on the third one.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a hard-ass game. It's definitely a niche hardcore game in terms of, you know, mechanics, turn-based mechanics, and just RPG-ass RPG stuff. So yeah. I'm wondering if 5 is going to have really different gameplay mechanics or something. I can't imagine it will. Anyway, a little bit worried, though, about their mention of, like, a simultaneous worldwide release, because Atlas, and to a lesser extent Stagia, they don't...
I put that in my tea.
Shut up. They don't do simultaneous worldwide releases very often. It's at least not their standard to do that. I hope that somebody is helping them with the localization process then, or at least I hope that the project is undergoing new processes to get lots of information to the localization team, because if you have a big production and the company is not used to doing worldwide releases, that can be hell for localization teams. So I feel for them, and I hope that it's going well. I hope that Nintendo is like helping them with it or something.
They know that people have been like clamoring for this all over for a while, so I'm sure that when they started the project of making this game, they kind of started from the very beginning.
Sure, but I mean, like, look at Persona 5. That was a huge delay between Japan and the West, and same with Persona 5 Scramble. That's still not even out in English-speaking countries.
Yeah.
You know, there must be a reason for it.
We'll see what happens.
Anyway, Shin Megami Tensei goodness, I'm so excited for people to talk about it, because it's a niche series that is not for everyone. It's barely for anyone. So I'm hoping that, you know, it gets back in the public and people give it more of a try. You know, thinking about like stuff like Yakuza, where Yakuza 0 came out and then suddenly that blew up. So I'm hoping that this will be, on a smaller scale, a widening of the net.
Yeah.
Are you going to play it, Galen?
No. I don't know. I've been a little disillusioned lately with JRPGs, just in the sense of I don't have the time that I usually used to, and to like really dedicate into getting into a story.
Yeah,
so,
you're too
which
busy
it
playing
sucks because, well, it's Destiny is easy in there.
So you're too much of a baby gamer to play the big boy gamers?
No, I'm too much of a busy gamer to play with the big boy gamers.
You said baby gamer. Guess what, Galen? Playtime's over.
So get back to work and not play games?
No.
Where are you going with this?
Time for you and video games to grow the f*** up.
Listen, I'm just in this weird turning point in my life where I don't know where to go.
Take up dance.
I gave you the perfect segue.
What? Oh, okay, fine. Deliver the segue, Galen.
Speaking of turning points in your life, let's talk about Balan Wonderworld.
Okay. Go ahead, talk about it.
So, Square-Enix recently announced a brand new game that they are publishing called Balan Wonderworld, not to be confused with Wonderwall or Wonderball, which I might have misread a couple of times. This is an action This is an action RPG that focuses on...
No, it isn't!
Yeah, it is.
It's an action platformer.
Oh. I just assumed that it had RPG elements in it, because what game doesn't nowadays?
Well, look at that. Assuming makes an ass out of you, says me. Wrong. He's wrong all the time. It's a disaster.
This is an action platform game that focuses on characters dealing with big life choices and indecisions, specifically at turning points in their lives. Yeah, it looks like there are a ton of different costumes that your characters can don in order to gain special abilities and traversing the levels. And yeah, I mean, the game looks fun. It reminded me a lot of kind of like the early PS1 days where they were a little bit more loose and free on trying out different franchises and IPs. Like, I watched this and for some reason I was thinking a lot about like Brave Fencer Musashi or Threads of Fate for the PS1.
Huh, interesting.
It invoked that kind of like childhood, oh, I'm willing to give this a try kind of like curiosity.
It reminded me a bit of, do you remember, there was 2 games in the series, Pandemonium on
Don't
PS1.
remember that one.
It was a tiny game, but it had like that very fantastical wonderment kind of atmosphere to it. The tone changed a little bit between 1 and 2. 1 was more like that. 2 became a little bit more mature just because that's where like games were going back then. But yeah, this does feel, it does have a feeling of like games of old. And they're really pushing this because this is a cross-gen game coming out on everything. It's coming out on Switch, PS4, 5, the Xbox and the Xbox, I forgot what they're called, and PC. Yeah. And in like a little like presentation video that Yuuji Naka and the other guy had, they referred to it as being like a new series that they're doing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Aesthetically speaking, it's a little bit visually overdone for my taste. It just feels like they could have pulled the reins back a little bit.
Yeah, I was watching this and I actually got a lot of vibes of like Snack World from it.
Oh, okay.
With just like how colorful everything is, the way that the characters are that cutesy, disproportionate, like big heads and body shapes to them.
Yeah. Actually, in terms of character design, it reminded me a lot of Destiny Connect, which is a game by Nissa that I recommended on the podcast before.
Yeah, I was also going to say that one too.
Oh, cool.
So,
There's apparently this has been in development for quite a while. Yuuji Naka joined Square Enix back in, I want to say 2017, maybe 2018. After he left the company that he founded, after that whole Rodea the Sky Soldier kerfuffle, that like 8-year kerfuffle. But this is an interesting one for me because there's 2 big things behind this that I'm very hit or miss on.
Okay. One
is modern Square Enix that has a lot of money behind it. They're smaller projects I'm super behind, but they're big ones that they put a lot of effort into. They end up just kind of overdoing it. It just gets overcooked. And then you get like a tough steak where it could have been a good steak, you know? And number 2 is Yuuji Naka games. I don't really care for... I think he's an awesome creator, and I think that he is so important to the industry, and he's very talented. He's did amazing programming stuff on especially games back in the day when he was just a programmer, like Phantasy Star. He did amazing stuff there. But I don't really care for a lot of the games that he makes. Like, Knights? Don't give a shit. Rodea the Sky Soldier, Ivy the Kiwi. I don't really like any of those games, which is fine. You know, it's not for me. It's not saying that they're bad, but it's just like, I don't know. Got some hesitation on this. It's definitely trying to be like, look at this beautiful, wonderful world, and I'm like, okay, but this is a 3D action platformer. It's going to live and die based on their game design. So. I will hold any excitement or judgment for this. I want to be excited for it, though.
A colorful setting is one thing, but you definitely have to be able to be placed into a position where you want to be in there and you want to play in there. So.
There's Switch footage as well. There's a Switch-specific trailer with only Switch footage in it, too. So, you know, it's quite a long ways in development.
Yeah.
Some of the muddier texture work reminds me a bit of Unreal Engine 4, so I wonder if it's going to be in that engine.
We will see.
But check it out if you haven't seen it. It's definitely worth looking at because it is very pretty, and they're definitely trying to push that aspect.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is a game that kind of shows up on our radar again later down the road. So
Yep, supposed to come out in spring of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And then next we have a brand new announcement, a spiritual successor of sorts. Galen, what's the game called?
Eiyuuden Chronicles.
No! Nice try. Eiyuuden Chronicle.
Eiyuuden.
And it's
okay.
singular Chronicle. It's cleaner.
Can you have a singular chronicle? Like, is that a thing? Or does it like change the name?
I don't know. I don't like the word.
Like you can't have a singular geese.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you what. You screw up so many damn words.
Oh, I screw up words.
Yes.
We really want to open up this can of worms right now.
Don't you mean this can of worm? Anyway, new game called Eiyuuden Chronicle. This is by
Japanese for worm.
Shut up. This is made by a brand new formed studio called Rabbit and Bear Studios. That is a cute ass name. I love it.
Yeah.
This is a spiritual successor to the Suikoden series.
Yeah. A lot of people who worked on it.
Yes, it has 3 key people working on this that were also involved in many of the Suikoden games. So in this game, those 3 key people are going to be doing the story, writing the story, and directing, character design, system design, and general direction. So this is a JRPG that is self-described as 2.5D pixel-based characters. The art direction, once you look at the screenshots, we got it all up on our website, nintendoeverything.com.
Which is gorgeous right now, by the way.
Super gorgeous. Very reminiscent of Octopath Traveler, which is cool. Like, I want to see more games that were inspired by that art style, you know?
Yeah. Oh, and it is evolved more than just your standard, like, pixel design, too. Did you see the battle animation video? It's like 20 seconds long that they have on there.
Yeah, it's less than that. It's like 15 seconds showing off what battles look like. So it's turn-based JRPGs, super dynamic camera, showing off like really cool moves happening. It's very much like an evolution of classic Suikoden.
Yeah, and very dynamic placement of the characters too. That's what kind of like struck at me. You don't have them all lined up in a row. You have some up in a cliff above, some down like right in front of the enemy's face, and that was cool to me.
Yeah, totally. So I'm really looking forward to this. This is going to be kickstarted. The Kickstarter is happening this week. I want to say maybe it's Tuesday or something like that it's going to go off. So check it out. There's going to be 100 unique heroes in this game. Very reminiscent, of course, of Suikoden. So, I mean, this is the revival that so many of us have wanted, with very important people behind the story and the character design and just the general direction. This is what we want. So really do check it out, everybody.
I'm going to be very interested to see where this game goes when it comes to actually coming to the Nintendo platform as well.
Ooh, good point to bring up.
Yeah. Just recently, there was a little bit of confusion because with their initial goal, they were saying that they wanted to make it for the PC, but one of their stretch goals in the Kickstarter is to have it come to, I think they said, quote, Nintendo Next Generation. Now, most people are thinking that, yeah, that's probably going to be on the Switch, but they have I think they have a launch date of fall 2022.
Yeah,
so
the development is expected to definitely take at least 2 years. I mean, you know how a lot of Kickstarters go where the game isn't made yet, especially. It tends to take even longer than they initially, promised. So
still waiting for Mighty Number 9 on the 3DS. So
why would anybody want that game? That game is so lifeless.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is definitely gonna, like, even just looking at it optimistically, this game is gonna take maybe 3 years in development. And so in 3 years from now, where's Nintendo gonna be hardware wise, right?
No, that's a very good point.
They did confirm to us that it's going to be on Nintendo console. Don't know what it's going to be yet. They're going to figure it out, but it's going to be on Nintendo console. If it reaches the Kickstarter goal, blah blah blah, that thing.
Yeah.
So very excited about this. I met Murayama, the guy that's writing the story. I met him last year at Tokyo Game Show. I did an interview with him on Alliance Alive because he wrote the scenario for Alliance Alive as well. Dude is super cool. He is so cool. He's the creator of Suikoden, and he writes so many amazing JRPG stories that involve kingdoms, intrigue, backstabbing, politics, that kind of stuff. And I remember specifically being like, so Murayama, I mean, you write all these amazing things. Like, what modern JRPGs are you really interested in right now that you think are, doing some cool stuff? He's like, oh, I don't play RPGs. It's like, what? I'm sorry, what? He's like, no. I like to play games that old guys play. Sometimes I play shooting games. I was wearing a Splatoon shirt, and he was like, oh, I play that game. I like Splatoon. I was like, okay.
For a second, I was really hoping you were going to say, yeah, he plays Destiny, and I'm just like, yes!
He might play that. I don't know how popular that is in Japan.
Probably not very.
It's got a good story.
Does it?
You have an hour? I can tell you about it.
I can't imagine. Listen, Galen, I know exactly what I'm doing today. That's not it. And then lastly, some intriguing stuff happening here. Nintendo source code leaks. More Nintendo source code leaks. So we've been hearing about this the past several months. We saw the source code of the Wii leak, then the 3DS, then a whole bunch of stuff on Pokemon games. Now we're seeing possibly the biggest one yet. There's like full development repository and source code of games like Star Fox 1 and 2, Link's Awakening, Yoshi's Island, a bunch of game prototypes, the DS emulator,
the Game Boy Advance,
a canceled Game Boy Advance peripheral, a bunch of beta sprites. Like, it's honestly a huge list. Check out our website, nintendoeverything.com. We don't have the links to that stuff there because, it's technically illegal to have that there. But we have a list of, what is there so you can stay informed. So check out our website. This is a huge one for sure. And stuff is popping up online.
Thanks, 4chan.
whoever, wherever, whatever happened.
Yeah.
A Super Mario RPG. I think the Master ROM might have leaked for it, so I think people are data mining through that. Of course, one of my favorite games of all time. So dear to my heart that anything that we can learn extra about that game, because we're never going to get another one of those games, is going to be really fascinating.
Well, and I think that's the most important takeaway of all of this, is that this is great for historical context and being able to find out like what exactly is in this game, or these games, in kind of almost like a time capsule of what was Nintendo's train of thought around this time period. One of the things that I thought was most interesting is they showed some early footage of Yoshi's Island. And one of the things that they had was that the baby was, if you got injured, the baby would actually be crawling around on the ground, not crying, as opposed to in the bubble. I thought that was really interesting that they made the choice to what they did, but it makes sense from a designer's point on doing testing and realizing that, hey, some people didn't understand when they lost the baby because it didn't have enough attention being brought to it. Or I can speculate on a couple of different ways that this would lead to the decision that they did make in the end.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you brought that up. From a historical point of view, this is really amazing for just cataloging video game history.
I think catalog is a word. I think it could be.
That's not what I was trying to say. Cataloging is what I was trying to say. Probably also not a word. So that's amazing. In terms, on the other side of the coin, in terms of a company keeping their trade secrets hidden, this is a disaster for sure. And definitely illegal in terms of possessing this content. So just be careful out there, everybody. You don't know what's going to happen, and you don't know where people will go after whom and all that stuff. But because every big company, especially tech companies and especially video game companies, are insanely secretive about things getting out, because stuff like this can little tidbits of it will make its way into future games, future peripherals, future business propositions.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they don't like any of this stuff getting out. And I mean, even a good example of that is there is a PowerPoint presentation that IQ made. IQ being it was a Chinese company, I don't know if it exists anymore, that I think Nintendo established in China for distribution of their products and stuff.
And it was geared primarily towards IQ was making learning games more than anything else, and that's how Nintendo was trying to get into the Chinese market back in that day.
Gotcha.
So
they IQ made a PowerPoint presentation proposing a mainline Pokemon game for the Game Boy Advance with functionality for the PC back in November of 2004. Super ambitious, super crazy ambitious. So there was supposed to be a Game Boy Advance version with online features. You were supposed to connect to a PC using the Game Boy Advance as a controller. Just really cool stuff and intriguing things to just be like, oh, that's really fun to know about, right?
Yeah. One of the cool things about it was that they had proposed trying to have everybody, when they log into the game, they would only have a certain amount of Pokemon that were available to them. And those Pokemon were dictated by what actual region you lived in. So it kind of strengthened this whole, regional gotta collect them all mentality of you gotta talk to people from China, you gotta talk to people from, Europe or wherever to collect all the Pokemon that you would want to.
Yeah. It honestly just really cool ideas. And of course, it's just a proposal. That's where you want to, kind of talk big, that kind of thing. But these ideas could make it into a future game, right? Like probably now they won't just because they've leaked. But that's why companies want to keep it secret. And so very understandable. But so I'm of two minds about this whole thing happening. But it happened and it's out there. So I'm trying to think more of from a historian point of view, it's cool that we can catalog it.
I'm sure we'll find all of this in a Did You Know Gaming in like a year from now.
What were we talking about? Oh, yeah, leaking, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, this is all really cool. Check it out. Our website, nintendoeverything.com. I think it would be great to do an online Pokemon game in the future. I really wish that they would be more adventurous with
Do you think they would try... Do you think they would try to go with an always online format for Pokemon?
Always online would suck. That would just suck.
Because, I mean, they already have online Pokemon, but...
I think that they could do a bit like an MMO light structure in terms of, not battle or anything like that, but in terms of gameplay and game structure, where you can play that game entirely offline. But when you go out into the world, you can't experience, fighting with trainers that are other characters and stuff like that. It would just be cool to have, I don't know, whatever. That's a whole nother conversation. I just wish Pokemon was more exciting.
I still wish that they would just come up with a Pokemon World game where it's every single region that you can go to.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing is do you want to show all your cards right up front, eventually something like that would be cool. Or if they just did region by region or something like that, and then they sold it separately. You have to think business sense as well with that, right?
No, business sense. But then from that point on, you don't have to redesign your Pokemon every single time that you come out with one. You can take the Destiny approach to it. And
of course you're going to bring up this.
Hey, I'm talking about evolving gameplay right now. You can do come out with a new region every year or year and a half or so to introduce it into the game.
But then your game gets stagnant because then it's not... I mean, Pokemon's already stagnant.
Yeah, we're talking about Pokemon. You want to rephrase that?
But if you have a game and then you continue to sell expansions and stuff on it, you always get diminishing returns with that. That's why, releasing a brand new game versus releasing an expansion or something like that, you're always going to get a smaller pool. That's why iterations on consoles even, they never sell all that much. So they're better off making a brand new console as opposed to making a PS4 Pro or whatever like that, But
on the other hand, you also have Pokemon, which is so diverse of a an IP in general that you can really kind of branch out in a couple of different ways.
Hey, I'm not trying to apply logic.
A cafe simulator in there.
I am not trying to apply logic to what they're doing with Pokemon, with the Pokemon company.
You have Pokemon, brush your goddamn teeth.
Additional DLC. When we stare into the internet, sometimes
it stares back.
We already made that joke. What are you recommending that you saw on the internet, Galen?
So, this week I've got some music to recommend. As the listeners may know, I'm a bit of a fan of the Critical Role D&D show. Since Oni Dino hit, they haven't been able to gather around the table and play the game on a regular basis. So they have been looking for alternative content to keep their channel active. One of these ideas is that they have put out these lo-fi chill-out playlists.
Oh, God.
They're themed around various characters in the show and what they would be doing on their off time. So studying spells, doodling in a sketchbook, meditating, that sort of thing. They're great background music to have, but I am specifically going to call out their Volume 3 mix titled Chill Tunes to Drink Tea / Meditate To.
The wrong version of 2 in there.
It's based off of Caduceus, one of the characters there, and this is a collection of soft-stringed acoustic sounds from guitar to ukulele. It really is my personal style of music and what I listen to a lot, and I've been finding myself putting on this 1-hour playlist for, while I work or cleaning around the house. So you don't need to know anything about the show to enjoy it, so I'd definitely recommend giving it a listen.
Lovely. And I am recommending a cute little game on Steam. Maybe you should check it out. It's called Kokoro Clover. Kokoro Clover, Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
It's in terms of gameplay and the look and the feel, it's a little bit like a light Mega Man or a Kirby. And in terms of characters and dialogue and stuff, it's very Mega Man Legends. It's only in Japanese right now, but maybe it's going to be translated to English someday. Maybe. Kokoro Clover. Check it out.
Hint.
On to our luckiest segment of the show.
You are our lucky stars. It's Listener Mail.
Listener Mail. Hey, it's the listener feedback portion of the show. I don't know if I want to retitle it. Anyway, we're going to do listener mail, but we're also going to read out a review on the iTunes. If you left us a review on Apple Podcast, it's going to sound like this. So please do leave one for us. It helps get us recommended through the algorithms. It is the best way to support our show.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, and we love reading those reviews. So
I don't care about reading them, but I just care about growing the show thanks to our lovely listeners.
I care about reading them because I want to take in your valuable feedback, like this feedback we are hearing right now.
Galen also loves smoke being blown up his own butt, so you can do that. This comes from Johnny. And he's
Johnny
on
5.
He's on brand here because he says the show is a fun time in a long time. I started listening to podcasts more recently than before. I rarely listen to many gaming podcasts, but these guys got the Nintendo info that I didn't know about before. Cool dudes! Thank you, Johnny. Johnny,
you are the cool dude.
And then our listener mail, of course.
Who is also a cool dude.
Send us your complaints, your corrections, your coronavirus to nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
I will make sure to sanitize my hands before I read your emails sent to nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
And if you mix cleaning solutions together, you might sound a little something like this.
You know, that was a bit of a stretch, but I'm going to give it to you because that was a hard one. That was like, I didn't know where you could have gone with that. So, we have an email this week from Jay. Hey, Jay, how's it going?
Hi, Jay.
Jay writes in, "Hey guys, it's Jay, answering the call for more emails. I have a few, so I'll keep them coming.
Thank you, please do.
Yeah. My question this week involves two hypothetical scenarios. The first, if for some reason you can only play one game for the rest of your life, what game would that be? The second, if you could only play through one more game and never be able to play games again, what game would that be? Are they different? For me, first scenario would be Skyrim. It's nowhere near my favorite game, but there are so many options and things to do in the game. My second would be that I could only play through once, would be Breath of the Wild. Second scenario was more difficult for me. I bounced around from Fire Emblem, Bloodborne, Metroid Prime, and more. Ask me next week, I'll probably have different answers, but I love to hear your thoughts and reasonings for the game picks. Also, I'm glad you appreciated my review. I'm a Google Podcast listener, but had an iTunes account from back in the day to make the review. Thanks a lot, Jay.
Thank you, Jay. And there's a bit of Jay lore for us. Jay revealed himself to be Jay on Flyer on the podcast review, iTunes podcast review that we read a few episodes ago.
The truth will come out. So, Oni, let's take this into two parts. First part, if you could only play one game for the rest of your life, what game would you play?
The diabetic slur returns, Galen. Stop it, your mouth sounds. Jay, I hate this question. Thank you for sending it in. It's like a Sophie's choice. Mm-hmm. How can I choose between my children here?
Yeah.
Like, do I go with, for the rest of my life, do I go with something like he did, a Skyrim or a Zelda or something where it's like I can keep exploring and I can keep discovering little tiny bits and come at things in a different way, lots of different stuff to read, it'll keep me engaged that way? Or do I go with something like a Koei Tecmo game with tons of replayability and, just that, God, it's so difficult. Or do I go back to a game that I love replaying, like Chrono Trigger,
Mm-hmm. I mean, you have been playing Chrono Trigger as your only game for your entire life, so.
Or does this also bleed into, like, MMOs, online games, or even like an online shooter like Splatoon, where it's like I can constantly be doing something with other people? You know what I'm saying here?
Yeah, there's a lot of variety to this question, a lot of interpretation. What's your first instinct, though?
My first instinct is definitely Chrono Trigger. I would love replaying that game so much, or Super Mario RPG,
Mm-hmm. Nah, this one was a bit of a head scratcher for me too, so.
What is it? Go ahead.
I mean, honestly, I gotta go to the one that I keep falling back on, and that is the Destiny franchise.
Oh my god!
It is not my favorite game of all time, but I stand by that it is full of different ways to play the game and different ways to explore in it, different things to do. There's a level of mastery to actually obtain in the game.
You really need to take your diabetes medication.
I think we're done with this joke.
No. I'm going to keep saying it until it comes to real life.
Until it comes true, you're trying to give me diabetes.
Sounds like you're giving it to yourself.
Well, why don't you give me your answer to the second question?
Okay.
So if you can only play one more game and then be done with video games, but you had to complete that game, what game would it be?
It's gotta be something brand new that I've never played before that gets me on a narrative level.
Mm-hmm.
So something I've been wanting to play for a long time, so that way I look forward to playing through that whole thing rather than thinking about it being over with. I think a really perfect one for me, because I know that it's a depressing story, is Nier Automata.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you have to replay that game like 5 times, even though like each playthrough is not the same, and it's like some playthroughs are like 20 minutes. Just because of the way that game questions you
It rolls the credits several times.
And it structures itself in ways that like questions video gameness. You know, it's doing things that only video games can do. So I'm gonna say Nier Automata.
Yeah.
Galen?
This one was a little bit harder for me. So my first instinct to go with an RPG of some type.
Even though you're disenfranchised and you want to play Destiny?
Well, probably more of the Western, like Bethesda variety. So I was torn between either Elder Scrolls or Fallout. But also the idea of something that is roguelike kind of popped into my head. So, like One Step from Eden or Wizard of Legend.
But you can't really complete those games.
You can to a point. Like, you can unlock everything and just be done. But it's going to take you a while to get there. So.
My thought, though, on that is if I'm playing one more video game ever and that's it. Oh my god, you know what's so up? Is that's going to be a situation in our lives. Because we're all going to die. At some point, there's going to be one game that we have to choose because we're never going to play video games again.
Well, yeah, it's this year. We're going to play one game in 2020 and then just die from coronavirus. And that game was Animal Crossing.
I really need to get Nier Automata back from my friend. Suddenly, there is suddenly a bit of a need for it. A little bit of a necessity happening. No, I would never want a roguelike or a roguelite because I want a calculated, meticulous, crafted experience. And especially one that is narrative heavy and makes me, think and feel things.
Yeah.
I wonder if I'll cry during Nier Automata.
Oh, probably.
I don't know. I'm not a crier, though. That's my thing.
From our conversation last week, you might. Because I know a little bit on how that storyline goes. So.
Nier Automata or just the first Nier?
Nier Automata.
Okay.
Nier Automata.
You said it wrong again. Listen, if you want the diabetic joke to go away, I think we're going to have to work on your mouth. I
really wish... I hate the show. I hate the show so much.
Good. Keep it that way. James Fleur, thank you so much for sending in emails that upset Galen.
Yeah. Jay, thank you for making me question my past year and a half that I've been spending on the show.
I really wanted you to say sexuality.
Nope, that's still pretty solid.
Boring. Everybody question your sexuality. It's great. What? It's a positive message. Don't give me that face.
I mean, sure. Go for it.
Hey, I'm going to give our listeners, the ones that send in the emails, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a homework assignment. Send us in some emails.
question your sexuality. That is your homework assignment.
That goes without saying. Honestly, that's extra credit. The real homework assignment here is I don't know what I'm saying. Shut up. I'm literally insane, okay? The real assignment is to send in an email that upsets Galen. Upsets Galen. That's what I want. Send those emails to nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
Make me crazy. At nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
Good. Break his spirit. You hear that? That's what I want.
Also,
been thinking about this. I think I'll allow it. Everybody's got email. Everybody can do that. So that's why I've kept it to that.
The emails are free.
But if you want to, if that's just a little bit cumbersome for you and you do have a Twitter, you can send your podcast question to me on Twitter at Oni_Dino. If that means that you're more likely to send an email, then go ahead and do it that way. Just let me know that it's a podcast question and not something that you want me to respond to right away.
Should we get a hashtag going? Do we have a hashtag?
No and no. Definitely big no.
Hashtag NEP.
No. You don't even know if that's already a thing.
I should actually probably look that up.
Yeah, that could stand for something really racist or something like that, and you don't want to be associated with that.
I remember the hashtag Free Galen from like a year ago. That
nobody used. And you still wear your shackles willingly.
Yeah, it's fun. I can do more damage from inside.
That's why we need to work on your mouth.
Shh.
That one's going to stick around. You know it, don't you?
You can try.
And succeed.
Here we go!
What's coming up? What's coming out? NintendoEverything.com. So much news. So much stuff. Interviews and translations and reviews. We have a lot of good things cooking in the pot. Stay connected to us at NinEverything on Twitter. We also have the YouTube, youtube.com/NinEverything. Posting game footage and all that stuff. Actually, definitely check out the YouTube because one of our lovely staff members, Nintendo Everything, his name is Bryce. He has been putting out some short form videos recently, talking about reactions, getting together a bit of a community talk there. And yeah, it's a budding series that he's doing, so definitely support him.
Nice.
Don't follow Galen on Twitter and other socials.
At Mobius087 or on Instagram at Mobius087. No, true_Mobius. God
Good.
damn
See,
it. What have you done to me?
Ruined your day. That's what we've done. Good.
You really have.
Good.
You really, really have.
Good. And then again, my Twitter at Oni_Dino. Talking a lot about translation this week. Really tracking your wow. Diabetic slur for me. I have type 3. And then also my Instagram, putting my cooking up there. Oni__Dino.
Mm-hmm. You even posted some of your cooking on Twitter too.
I have.
No.
I've been meaning to.
Mm-hmm. You make very photogenic food.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. I try and make it look a little nice.
Yeah, it definitely looked nice.
It's definitely tasty. I love cooking food.
Mm-hmm.
Galen, what have we learned today?
Get yourself tested.
I feel like you've learned, you should have learned more lessons this episode. What else have you learned?
Bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Oh, I love that. I love using proverbs where they have no business being.
Right? It's fun.
Yeah.
What have you learned this episode?
You can't beat old age.
Mm.
We're all going to die. We're all going to have to choose at some point what's that last video game we're going to play. Have a great day, everybody, for everything Nintendo.
Stay tuned to Nintendo Everything.
Bye-bye.
Life is a lie.